Amid the lively hum of a crowded Saturday market, a neglected German shepherd sat quietly by a vendor's stall, tied to a post, almost invisible to the hurried crowd. The dog's fur was matted, ribs slightly visible, and his eyes told a story of loneliness and longing. Among the many shoppers weaving through the stalls was a curious, bright-eyed 5-year-old girl named Lily. Holding her mother's hand, she suddenly stopped, her gaze locked on the large dog. Something about him tugged at her heart. "Mommy, look at that dog," Lily whispered, tugging on her mother's arm. Her mother, Sarah, followed her daughter's gaze and sighed gently. Lily had always shown a special sensitivity toward animals, especially those in need. "Okay, sweetie," Sarah said softly. "We can go say hi, but stay close to me." As they approached, Lily crouched a few feet away and whispered gently, "Hi there, buddy." She slowly extended her small hand toward him. The German shepherd perked his ears slightly, but didn't move away. He sniffed the air, sensing something different in this child's approach, something kind. "You look so sad," Lily murmured. "It's okay. I'm here now." Sarah watched closely, aware that the dog might be fearful or even reactive. But she was struck by how still he remained, how his tail gave the tiniest wag as Lily spoke to him. Nearby, a middle-aged vendor stacked fruit on his stand, barely paying attention to the dog tied up beside him. Lily stood and approached him. "Excuse me, sir, is this your dog?" The vendor gave a half glance and shrugged. "Yeah, I guess. No one wants him. He's useless. Just takes up space." Lily's heart ached. "Can I pet him?" she asked. The man shrugged again, clearly indifferent. Returning to the dog, Lily knelt and gently touched his fur. To her amazement, he leaned into her hand. That was all she needed. From that moment on, something invisible but powerful passed between them. She named him Max. In the weeks that followed, Lily and her parents returned to the market often. Each time, she spent more and more time with Max. She would talk to him, bring him scraps of food, and sit beside him for hours. The once indifferent dog began to recognize her, his tail thumping whenever she arrived. Eventually, Sarah and her husband Michael couldn't ignore their daughter's growing bond. They began to talk seriously about bringing Max home. It wouldn't be easy. He needed medical care, food, attention, and rehabilitation. But their daughter's compassion inspired them. One afternoon, Sarah approached the vendor and offered to take the dog. He barely thought before agreeing, happy to be rid of what he called dead weight. Lily was ecstatic. She unhooked Max from the post, whispered, "You're coming home with us," and led him to their car. On the ride home, Max rested his head on Lily's lap, a quiet gesture of trust. But bringing Max home was only the beginning. At first, Max struggled to adjust. He flinched at loud sounds, cowered if someone moved too fast, and was especially wary of adults. But around Lily, he was different. Her tiny size, soft voice, and gentle demeanor seemed to comfort him. She would sit with him, read to him, or just lie quietly beside him while he napped. Slowly, Max began to change. He'd nuzzle her hand, follow her from room to room, wag his tail more often. Still, his behavior was inconsistent, and Sarah knew they needed help. They reached out to Dr. Lauren Reed, a local animal behaviorist with a reputation for working with abused animals. Dr. Reed visited their home and observed Max's movements, his reactions. "This dog's been through a lot," she said gently. "What he needs now is patience, routine, and positive reinforcement. Let him know he's safe now." They followed Dr. Reed's advice diligently. There were good days, days when Max played fetch with Lily, responded to commands, or explored the backyard with curiosity. But there were hard days too, days when sudden fear overtook him and he retreated into himself. One sunny afternoon, Lily was in the yard tossing a ball. Max surprised everyone by bounding toward her with the ball in his mouth, tail wagging furiously. For the first time, he had initiated play. Michael and Sarah watched from the porch, smiles on their faces. Their rescue dog, once labeled useless, was coming back to life. Weeks turned into months and Max began to flourish. Lily's unconditional love and endless patience helped him shed the fear of his past. One particularly warm day, Lily laughed as Max chased her around the backyard. It was a peaceful, joyful moment. But then, everything changed. A loud bang echoed down the street, a car backfiring. The neighbor's cat, startled, darted across the yard. Instinct took over. Max bolted after it, barking wildly. "No, Max!" Lily cried, chasing after him. Sarah and Michael's hearts froze as they saw their little girl run toward the street, where a speeding car was approaching fast. "Lily!" Sarah screamed, but it was too loud, too fast, and too late. But Max saw it. As the car closed in, Max did something incredible. He spun around and with lightning speed leapt back toward Lily. He tackled her with his body, knocking her to the side just as the car screeched past. The driver hit the brakes, face pale and horrified. Sarah and Michael rushed to their daughter. She was shaken, a little scraped up, but unharmed. Max stood over her, panting hard, eyes scanning for danger. Lily threw her arms around him, tears in her eyes. "You saved me," she whispered. From that day on, Max was more than just the family dog. He was a hero, a protector, a symbol of what love could do to a broken heart. Max had become more than just a pet. After saving Lily from that speeding car, his place in the family was unshakable. He was their guardian, their miracle, and most of all, Lily's best friend. But the peace they had built together was about to be tested. One sunny afternoon, while walking Max through their neighborhood park, Lily noticed something strange. Max suddenly stiffened. His muscles tensed, and a low growl rumbled from his chest. Ahead, a man was approaching. He looked familiar, but Lily couldn't place him at first. Then it hit her. It was the vendor from the market, the same man who had kept Max chained and neglected. He stopped a few feet away, narrowed his eyes, and let out a cold smirk. "Well, I'll be," he sneered. "So this is where the mutt ended up." Lily tightened her grip on Max's leash. She could feel his tension. He stepped slightly in front of her, his body shielding her from the man. "He's not a mutt," Lily said quietly. "His name is Max, and he's my dog now." The man scoffed. "He was my dog first. You had no right to take him." "You gave him away," she replied, voice steady. "You didn't care about him." The man's expression darkened and he took a step closer. Max bared his teeth with a low, warning growl. "You think this is over?" the man said. "I'm taking him back, one way or another." Without another word, he turned and walked away. But the threat lingered like a shadow. Lily told her parents about the encounter. Michael clenched his jaw while Sarah pulled her daughter into a hug. "He's not taking Max," she whispered. "Not now. Not ever." But they all knew it wouldn't be the last time they saw him. A few weeks later, the town hosted its annual pet fair and dog showcase in the local park. It was an event filled with joy, families, and four-legged friends of every size. Lily's parents thought it would be a good opportunity to enjoy a lighthearted day and show off how far Max had come. Booths lined the area, offering everything from treats to toys to grooming services. Lily's eyes sparkled as she wandered through with Max by her side. He looked stronger now, more confident. His coat shone in the sun, and his eyes were bright. Then she saw a booth advertising agility and tracking demonstrations. Dogs raced through obstacle courses, jumping, weaving, and darting through tunnels. Lily turned to her mom, her face glowing with excitement. "Can we try that?" she asked. Sarah smiled. "Let's give it a shot." A friendly trainer greeted them. "Would you like to see if your dog has some natural talent?" he asked. Lily nodded eagerly, and together they walked over to the starting line. She knelt beside Max. "Ready, boy?" she whispered. Max's ears perked up. His tail gave a happy wag. When Lily gave the signal, Max took off like a bullet. To everyone's astonishment, he moved with speed and precision. He leapt over hurdles, zigzagged through the poles, and shot through tunnels like he'd been born to do it. The crowd clapped and cheered as he crossed the finish line. Lily beamed, her heart soaring. The trainer approached them, clearly impressed. "That was incredible," he said. "He's a natural." Word spread quickly around the fair about the impressive German Shepherd and the young girl who had trained him. Trainers from local agility clubs offered invitations to join their teams. Lily and her parents were stunned by the attention but proud of what Max had accomplished. But their happiness wouldn't last. The very next week, the vendor, his name was Roy, began showing up at Max's agility training sessions. At first, he kept his distance, watching silently from the edge of the park. But soon he started shouting, "That's my dog. He belongs to me," he barked from the sidelines. "You stole him." Trainers and parents began murmuring. Some looked concerned. Lily clutched Max's leash tighter every time Roy appeared. Sarah and Michael had had enough. They contacted a lawyer, a kind woman named Natalie Brooks, who specialized in animal rights cases. They met in her office, tense and worried. After hearing their story, Natalie nodded confidently. "You've done everything right. The key now is to collect evidence, pictures, vet records, witness statements. We need to show not only that you've provided care, but that this dog was abused before you took him in." So the family got to work. They printed photos from the day they rescued Max, his sunken eyes, visible ribs, and dull, dirty coat. They gathered veterinary records showing his weight gain, vaccinations, and treatments. Neighbors, friends, even trainers offered to write letters describing Max's transformation. Lily wanted to help too. She sat down with a pencil and paper and poured her heart into a letter. "Max is my best friend. He saved my life when a car almost hit me. I love him, and he loves me. Please don't let anyone take him away." The letter brought tears to Sarah's eyes. They added it to the file. Meanwhile, the local dog agility championship was approaching. Max was in perfect form, and Lily had memorized every cue. But the pressure was heavy. Roy had become more aggressive, shouting threats, lurking outside training classes, muttering under his breath. Sometimes Lily could feel his glare from across the field, but she never stopped. She kept training Max, repeating to herself, "We're going to show everyone who he really is." The day of the competition finally arrived. The park was packed. Dozens of dogs and their handlers lined up, ready to show off their skills. Tents offered snacks and supplies. Announcers called out names over the speaker system. The excitement was electric. Lily spotted Roy near the fence, arms crossed, staring at her. She felt her stomach twist. But she looked down at Max. He looked up at her with those warm, trusting eyes. "We can do this," she whispered. When their names were called, the crowd hushed. Lily stepped up to the starting line with Max beside her. She gave the signal. Max burst into action. He jumped each hurdle flawlessly. He weaved through the poles with precision. He flew through tunnels and dashed across the finish line in record time. The crowd erupted in applause. One of the judges, an older man with years of experience in dog training, came up to them afterward. "You two make an incredible team," he said. "I've seen a lot of dogs in my time, but this one has real heart." Lily smiled. Max wagged his tail, but even his cheers echoed across the park. The reality of the court hearing loomed ahead. The legal battle over Max's future was about to begin, and it would take more than talent to win. The day of the court hearing arrived, heavy with tension. Lily stood outside the courthouse, tightly gripping Max's leash. Her parents stood on either side of her. Max sat calmly, but his ears twitched and his body stayed close to Lily's legs, as if sensing the gravity of the moment. Roy, the man who once left Max tied up at the market, was already inside, waiting. His lawyer stood beside him, arms folded and eyes sharp. Lily's family had done everything they could to prepare. Their attorney, Natalie Brooks, was confident in their case. But the weight of uncertainty hung in the air. Inside the courtroom, the judge entered and called the case to order. Natalie stood and began her presentation with calm, steady conviction. "Your Honor, this case is not about ownership. It is about what is best for Max, the dog who sits quietly by this young girl's side." She displayed photos from the day Max was rescued. Tangled fur, sunken ribs, hollow eyes. Then she showed recent images, Max leaping over agility hurdles, curled beside Lily on the couch. running freely through the park. She presented veterinary records showing his transformation in health, letters from neighbors, trainers, and friends. And then she held up Lily's handwritten letter. "If I may, Your Honor," Natalie said softly, "I'd like to read something from Max's best friend." The courtroom grew silent. "Max is my best friend. He saved my life when a car almost hit me. I love him and he loves me. Please don't let anyone take him away." There were audible sniffles from the gallery. Even the judge paused before continuing. Roy's attorney tried to argue that Max was still legally his client's property, citing vague verbal ownership and lack of signed paperwork. Roy himself muttered complaints from the stand, denying abuse and claiming Lily's family had manipulated the situation. But the judge wasn't moved. He looked directly at Roy and spoke with quiet firmness. "Mr. Campbell," he said, "the evidence presented shows a dog that was malnourished, neglected, and emotionally broken under your care. Since being taken in by the Wilson family, Max has not only recovered but thrived." The judge turned toward Lily, who sat with wide, hopeful eyes. "This dog is clearly bonded with this child, and her family has gone to extraordinary lengths to care for him. It is in Max's best interest to remain with them." He glanced back at Roy. "Your behavior, and lack of evidence to the contrary, demonstrates that you are unfit to care for this animal." Then came the final words. "The court rules in favor of the Wilson family. Max will remain in their permanent care." Lily gasped and threw her arms around Max, tears streaming down her cheeks. Max, sensing her emotion, licked her face and wagged, his tail so hard it thumped against the wooden bench. Sarah hugged Michael tightly. Natalie gave a soft, triumphant smile. Roy scowled, muttering as he stormed out of the courtroom. But no one paid him any mind, because justice had been served, and Max was finally, truly safe. But the story didn't end there. The judge had also ordered a deeper investigation into Roy's background. What they uncovered shocked everyone. Reports rolled in. It became clear that Max wasn't Roy's only victim. Several other animals had once been in his care: cats, dogs, even rabbits. All had either vanished or shown signs of neglect. Witnesses came forward. Neighbors recalled hearing animals cry through the night. A former employee from his stall at the market testified that Roy often withheld food and left dogs tied up for days without shelter or care. Local authorities launched an animal welfare investigation. The findings were heartbreaking, but they also validated everything Lily's family had fought for. News outlets picked up the story. A segment aired on the evening news titled, "Little Girl's Love Saves Abused Dog and Sparks Justice for Others." Community support poured in. People wrote letters, donated to animal shelters in Max's name, and sent thank you cards to Lily and her family. Strangers stopped them on the street just to say, "Thank you for what you did." One woman even brought her rescued dog to meet Lily and Max, saying, "Your story gave me the courage to adopt." Life slowly returned to normal. Max no longer flinched at sudden sounds. He slept through the night without pacing. He greeted guests with wagging tails instead of cautious eyes. And every morning, he waited by Lily's bedroom door, ready to start the day by her side. But something else had changed, something deeper. Max wasn't just a dog anymore. He had become a symbol of healing, of hope, of second chances. Lily's parents enrolled her and Max in more agility classes. He was a favorite wherever he went. Trainers marveled at how quickly he learned, how tightly bonded he was with his handler. "You've got a championship dog there," one judge said after a regional competition. But to Lily, Max was already so much more than that. One evening, as they sat in the backyard watching fireflies, Lily leaned against Max and whispered, "I'm proud of you." Max gave a quiet, happy huff and rested his head in her lap. Sarah watched from the kitchen window, tears in her eyes. "Can you believe how far they've come?" she said softly to Michael. He nodded. "It's amazing what love can do." Months passed. Summer melted into fall, and Max's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. He went from a frightened, broken dog tied to a post in a noisy market to a confident, gentle giant, one who now ran alongside Lily through the park, performed in agility showcases, and greeted her every morning like she was the center of his world. Together, they entered regional competitions, not because Lily wanted trophies, but because Max loved it. The excitement, the crowds, the energy, it didn't scare him anymore. He thrived on it. He no longer trembled around strangers. He welcomed pats on the head, performed tricks on command, and even wore silly costumes for Halloween. He had become a community favorite. At school, Lily's classmates loved hearing about Max. She brought in photos, told stories about how he saved her life, and even showed a certificate they won at the county dog show. Her teacher said it was one of the best show and tells they'd ever had. But what people admired most wasn't Max's agility or obedience. It was his heart, his loyalty, his second chance. One weekend, the family received a letter in the mail from a national animal advocacy group. They had heard Max's story and invited Lily and her family to a special gala, honoring people who made a difference in animal welfare. The event was scheduled in the city, and guests would include veterinarians, shelter workers, and families who had rescued or rehabilitated abused animals. Lily was overjoyed. When the night came, she wore a sky blue dress, and Max had a matching bow tie on his collar. He behaved perfectly, calm, alert, and proud. On stage, the organization's founder told their story. Images of Max before and after his rescue flashed across the screen. "And now," she said, "we'd like to invite Lily Wilson and her dog, Max, to accept our Hero Companion Award." Lily stood, her heart pounding, and walked with Max to the stage. As the audience applauded, she held the microphone with both hands. "Max didn't just change my life," she said, voice trembling slightly. "He saved it. And all he needed was someone to love him." A standing ovation followed. Cameras flashed, reporters asked questions. But through it all, Max remained calm, standing beside Lily like he always had. That night, their story reached thousands more people. It sparked donations to shelters, inspired new adoptions, and reminded everyone that no animal is ever too broken to be loved, or to love again. Back home, life settled into a beautiful routine. Max would wait by the front door for Lily to return from school. On weekends, they'd hike forest trails together, or curl up on the couch watching movies. Every night before bed, Lily knelt beside him and gave him a kiss on the head. "You're the best dog in the world," she'd whisper. One chilly December morning, the family received a surprise call. The mayor's office had heard about Max's heroism, how he saved Lily from the car, how he overcame neglect, and how he brought a community together. They wanted to honor him at the town's winter festival with a special ceremony. When the festival arrived, the town square was filled with lights, music, and snow-dusted trees. At the center was a small stage and a giant banner, celebrating our local hero, Max the German Shepherd. The mayor stepped up to the microphone, smiling warmly. "Every once in a while," he said, "a story comes along that reminds us of the power of kindness and the bond between a child and her dog. Max is not only a hero to Lily, but a symbol of second chances for animals everywhere." He bent down and placed a medal around Max's neck. The crowd cheered. Max, now completely at ease with such attention, sat tall beside Lily, his eyes bright. Later that night, as snowflakes gently fell outside their home, Lily sat on the living room rug, brushing Max's fur. "You were meant to be mine," she said softly. "Even if no one else wanted you back then, I did. And I always will." Max leaned into her, resting his head in her lap just like he did on the ride home from the market so long ago. From behind the kitchen counter, Sarah and Michael watched the scene unfold, their hearts full. "I've never seen a bond like that," Sarah said, wiping her eyes. Michael nodded. They saved each other. Over the next year, Lily and Max began visiting schools, shelters, and community centers. They spoke to children about animal rescue, kindness, and standing up for those who can't speak for themselves. Max became a certified therapy dog. He visited nursing homes, curled up next to veterans, and helped nervous children learn to read. by listening patiently as they read aloud. Everywhere he went, he inspired calm and comfort. People who had never owned a pet before asked where they could adopt. Shelters started receiving more visitors. Max had become more than a dog. He was a movement. On the one-year anniversary of Max's rescue, Lily's family hosted a celebration in the park where they had first seen Roy return. But this time, there was no fear, only joy. Local families brought their own rescue pets, and trainers from the agility course brought a special award just for Max. Most inspirational dog. That evening, Lily gave a little speech. "I know there are a lot of animals out there who are scared, just like Max was," she said. "But all it takes is one person to believe in them." She looked down at Max. "And I'm really lucky, because I got to be that person." Closing thoughts. Sometimes the love we give comes back to us in ways we never imagined. Max was once forgotten, unwanted, and abandoned, but because of a little girl's compassion, he became a protector, a hero, and a best friend. His story is a reminder to us all that love heals, loyalty endures, and second chances are always worth it. Thank you for listening to Max and Lily's story. If it touched your heart, please consider sharing this video, leaving a like, and subscribing for more inspiring stories just like this one. And if you've ever rescued an animal or been rescued by one, we'd love to hear your story in the comments below from all of us. Thank you, and take care.